Okay, so oil catch cans installed. Still figuring out cold start, lean rich. I'm really close. It does after it warms up, kind of levels out, but I don't want it running lean every time. It's like super lean, like 17 point whatever on the wideband. So just been playing around with that to kind of get it. I was making the mistake of just doing a fast adjustment and watching that. You really got to give the computer some time to catch up. But yeah, so I got these waterproof connectors so that I could remake connectors for some of these older connectors that were bad, like the O2 sensor connector. So that's good now. That's the one for the actual DME. And then I also got, see if you can see them. There they are. So these are not Bosch fuel injectors. I had this thing all tuned up and I was running on these aftermarket injectors. And they worked okay. But I had it all tuned, and these have 4 holes in the bottom, not like the pintles. Not like the Bosch pintles. Yeah, so 4 holes. And then, of course, the Bosch. I just had one of them in my hands a second ago. I don't know where it went. I don't really care now. Oh, it's right here. This was the OEM. I just had a new cap on it. It was running so rich, I thought maybe this was just dumping gas out of it, and it was. Because I tried finding... Yeah, so anyways, went with this company on eBay, Motorman, fuel injection supply. These ended up being Delphi fuel injector set, and they were listed for 83, 84, 85 Porsche 944 2.5, which is what I got them for. They're 138 bucks. I messaged him and asked him for the flow rate and the ohm spec, and he gave them to me. So they're low impedance, low ohm injectors, and they were like 24 pounds or whatever. I put these in and the car wouldn't start right away. And then it just started and ran fine. So I'm sure I just had to get some air out of the fuel circuit, but was super lean at that point. So I had to go in and like readjust everything here. But now this thing just, we'll see. I just have the wideband plugged in directly to the battery right now until I decide what I want to do with it. You can hear my fuel pump kick on because I have a solid state relay. Yeah, and you can see it idle. It's kind of hunting around a little bit. It's like right around 14. So it's a little rich at idle. Now I'm sure the idle air control valve is open right now. So it's probably causing a little more fuel. I'd rather it be slightly more rich than lean, but I'm pretty happy with that. I'm gonna do a plug check at some point, but of course when you let off the idle or let off the throttle, the DME kicks the fuel pump off to slow the engine down, so it just cuts fuel to the circuit because that's the way the DME is. That's why you get that weird lag if you're gunning it and you let off and the engine kind of cuts out a bit. It's because that's the way the DME works, kind of for whatever reason. I don't know. It's one way of slowing down the engine. But I am pretty happy with how this is running. I need to get it out on the road and do an under load test. And I'll have to figure out how to get that gauge into the cabin so I can kind of monitor it. But at general IPM, not under load, if I take it up to like 2500, that goes lean initially, and then it starts as the fuel injectors kick in and letting more fuel in. It gets right back down to like the 13s, 13 to 14 range, which, like I said, I'd rather it was a little more lean, or a little more rich rather than lean. I'll have to do a plug test. I'll have to get some miles under the car. But these are 6-port. They've got 6 holes. And they don't have these caps on the end of them. So they don't have that cap. And they've got 6 ports instead of like these have the 4. Yeah, the only downside was the clip. It didn't really secure it to the rail that well. It was almost like it was just a millimeter lower than, like, this part here was like a millimeter higher. And it just made that gap to that first ring a little off. I bought some new ones that are slightly bigger. I think these are GM. For all intents and purposes, they're basically the same thing. They do clip on there, but I mean, they just kind of hold it in place. The washers and the brackets themselves, which clamp that fuel rail down, are what's creating the seal. It's not really this holding that up against there. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on it. Make sure it doesn't leak any fuel. Right now, it's not leaking anything. Fuel injectors. I guess, they're 40 years old. So even though they had fuel going through them when I was doing spray tests, I just don't think it was that efficient at atomizing and creating a complete burn, because those plugs were just black. So I did something else. What else did I do? Oh yeah. I changed out the headlights. So these are still kind of like OEM look, but they're LED. I was able to use like H4 from this company called Oxido. I've actually used some of their LEDs in the past. I've got them in my truck, actually, and those are projector lenses, and I think they're amazing. They're pretty bright, but I probably won't ever run the brights. I mean, this is just night and day. Just in the garage next to the halogen bulbs was pretty impressive as far as the difference. And I like the way that it keeps kind of the OEM look. It fit in there flush. Now, the bulbs didn't come with the glass lens. I had to buy that separately, and I honestly just Googled, or I went to Amazon, and I think they were $30, but they're made in Thailand, basically China, and I don't think the box says anything on it. That's not the box. I threw the box away. The box didn't really say anything on it. I just searched for H4 light adapter, and they're glass, which is cool. They've got a really nice locking ring on the back. They come with a rubber grommet to go over the connector that I had to modify to fit the plug, actually. But pretty happy with the look of them. And then I also took the time to put some plastic conditioner on the surround to kind of dress that up a bit. But just coming along. I might redo the coolant reservoir tank at some point, make sure, or not coolant reservoir, the windshield washer reservoir at some point. The pump works, but the tank just needs this cap. I know it's replaceable. I've seen it online. And then I'll probably rerun all the lines because they're all brown and kind of gross looking. But yeah, we're running out of things to do under here. I need to let the engine cool back down. I'm going to do a startup test, see where it's at. and just make sure that we're running kind of like in that 13 range. Because once I get up and the engine temp gets up and that O2 sensor is working. I can't believe it. When I had the exhaust off, I shot it with carb cleaner and brake clean, but I didn't think it was going to work. I don't know if it's working. It seems to be working pretty well, because when the engine gets up to temp, I can see it changing on the wideband. So it seems to be working. I put a new connector on it, so no solder. But yeah, I think we're dialed in. So I can start playing around with some other stuff like the body work I've been talking about for a while. The interior, I'm pretty happy with. It's not perfect. This car is not perfect. I don't want it to be perfect. I just want it to look okay and have fun with it. And I need to pop this off because it's not bad yet, but I can't shut this with this. There's no gasket on it right now. I don't have a seal in there. Because when I put a new seal in, this was making a terrible noise and it would not shut. Like, it was taking me some force to even push it down a bit. It was like pinching up through here, and it just did not seem right. I didn't want to break this, so I just took it off for now, until I can pull this off, make sure that this is true, and get some new sealant in there, because this is all the way, that's the gap right there, which I've seen worse, but this is supposed to be under here. I don't know how far, but it is supposed to be under there. So we need to redo that. And then these are my plugs for the third brake light. I just put in a plug so that I can take the window off without having to undo the wiring every time. Just had to make it a little easier. So I got everything done for the sunroof. It's working. I found a new cover on eBay, well, a new to me cover that was in much better shape than mine. I don't have it all bolted in because I'm getting ready to take this off, but I think it's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. So I need to adjust the steering wheel because it's not, when I did my alignment, basically kind of eyeballing it. I'm gonna have to take it to a tire shop at some point and get a real alignment done, but the wheel is way off, so I just need to pull it off and readjust it. Other than that, yeah, we're I got new speakers in, some JBLs. Those are the old ones. They actually sounded pretty good. They're Blah Punk. They didn't sound awful. They're a little more full. The JBLs are a little more high end, very little low end. I need to replace the back ones. They work, so I'm not gonna mess with it right now. It's obviously pretty low on the list, but we're getting there. We're getting close to having this baby be a daily, so pretty fun.